Hey everybody, I'm Seth and welcome back to Everyman Prepping. Hope you're all having a great day today. Today is President's Day, and before we get into some of the news stories I want to bring you up to in the war, what's going on with all the escalations going on, we're going to bring you up to date on all that real quickly. But like I said, you might have the day off today. It's President's Day, and if you do, great time to think about that spring planting, getting ready for growing your own food, because as you can see from all the stories I bring you all the time, you're going to need to start doing that. Anyway, I did a video on it yesterday. I'll put it up here and also in the description down below, where you can go check out my video, give it some love, see if anything sparks or jogs your incentive to want to go out there and grow your own food. I think you'll enjoy it. You'll get a lot out of it. But let's get into the stories we really came here for today, and that's, well, the war escalations going on. Also, like this video as you're watching this. I really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Comment below on anything you see here, or just questions on top of your mind, and we'll answer them as best as we can in the community here. So what do we have? Well, we have Israel basically attacking deep into Lebanon, going after what they say are Hezbollah military targets, but there seems to be a lot of civilian casualties. We'll just look at these really quickly, a couple of these videos. This is a great vantage point of some of the stuff that Israel is bombing right now. Like I said, they said that they are military targets. As you can see, this is a coastal shot. It's near the city of Sidon. We're going to look at a map in a minute. But you can see it's pretty deep into Lebanon. And like I said, Hezbollah, Nasrallah, not going to take to this. He turns into a sideways view after this. For some reason, we'll go to this one now. You can check this video out. You can see pretty massive attack that went on. There were civilian casualties, like I said. Nasrallah, Hezbollah, not going to take this. They will retaliate. It will escalate. It'll go further. You have some people out there saying, oh, Hezbollah doesn't want a full-blown war with Israel because of what happened in 2006. Well, in 2006, Hezbollah basically, laid it on Israel. Israel got taken to the woodshed. They had to go back across the border, tail between their legs, lost a lot of men. Hezbollah basically kicked them out. They went in there, didn't go well for Israel. So I don't think Hezbollah is the one that's really concerned about a war here. I think it's going to be Israel. Anyway, this is what they bombed. This is the area of Sidon, if it's pronounced that way. I circled it here in red. The yellow border here is the border between Lebanon up top, Israel down below. You can see Beirut up top. This red line is that line that Israel keeps telling it's 30 miles deep or so. It's a river. They want Hezbollah pushed behind this line, but they're attacking even deeper. Like I said, this is not going to go well. You will see Hezbollah retaliate. There were rocket attacks yesterday. Probably going to be more today even, maybe as soon as tomorrow. Who knows? They will come after Israel, and they'll probably start going after civilians. We shall see. So definitely not slowing down there, picking up speed. Eventually, yes, the U.S. is probably going to have to get involved there as well, because the United States can't help itself. Now, let's move on to the Red Sea. All those 400 so attacks, 500 attacks from the ships there. They've stopped the Houthis, right? They're afraid. They're not attacking anymore, right? No, totally opposite. Still attacking. In fact, yesterday, 2 anti-ship ballistic missiles were launched from what they're calling the Iranian-backed Houthis into a ship, the MV Rubimer. It's a Belizean-flagged, UK-owned bulk carrier. So, the Houthis said, the Yemenis said that we're going to attack United States, UK, Israeli ships, and, well, they did again. This one was struck bad enough that it had to be abandoned. In fact, if we go here, this is what the ship, it's a file photo. It's not a photo of the attack. This is a file photo of the ship, but they said it was damaged heavy enough where the crew had to abandon, and it's probably going to sink. So this might be the first sinking of an actual ship, first or second, but definitely not slowing down. In fact, the Houthis took out another Reaper drone, an MQ-9 Reaper. This is the second, at least the second one. The first one, I believe, was in November of last year, and they just hit another one. So you can see here it says, Monday has been a bad day for Western Coalition patrolling the Red Sea. It says the U.S. defense officials have confirmed to the New York Times that overnight an MQ-9 Reaper drone was down, and the Pentagon was investigating. So like I said, these are the second one, the $32 million a piece. Might even be the third, but when you're dropping Reaper drones out of the sky, in fact, if you want to look at, this is what a Reaper drone is. It's a large drone used for recon, shooting Hellfire missiles, all that great stuff. So Houthis still taking them out of the sky, still hitting ships, all that coalition down there, not doing much to slow them down, and it's probably not going to. So that's what's that gonna do? Shipping, they're going around Africa now to deliver goods. They're going other routes. They're going land routes. What's that gonna do? inflation, cost of stuff, all kinds of things. It's eventually going to affect oil. It hasn't yet, but it will happen. Oil, it's still between 70, 80 bucks a barrel. Should be a lot higher based on what's going on, but I think it's just being beaten down by paper trades. That's a video, story, another video for another day. But let's go on into Ukraine now. So what do we have here? We've had, if you've heard, Advika, which is right here, where I'm circling with the mouse. Advika was, taken over. As you can see, all the red is Russia. It was engulfed by Russia, and you can see the kind of the pincer move where they're going to collapse this here in the cauldron, they call it. So that is gone. It's right here in this area. So they had to retreat. Ukraine had to retreat out of that. Everybody's saying, oh, it's because we haven't done that $95 billion Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan deal. Ukraine's going to lose if we don't do this. You have everybody from the president to congressmen out there saying, we need to get this deal done. We need to get the money to them because, well, money will solve everything, right? Well, I don't think Russia's giving up any of that territory. They're taking more. It might be, it's probably well past the time that Ukraine starts figuring out how to stop this war by negotiating some peace. Even though the U.S. just last week said, we're not negotiating peace. We can win this. Like I mentioned, we have this going, we have Lindsey Graham. Now, remember Navalny? He was that Russian political opponent to Putin that they said was killed by Putin, which makes no sense. Why would Putin kill him? He's got an election come up. No one even heard of Navalny. It wasn't even the West press. It wasn't the press anywhere. Why would he bring this up right before election? They're saying he killed it. I have my doubts on that. I don't know who did. Why don't you write in the comments what you think? But it sure has come out in favor of the West that Navalny did die. And even Lindsey Graham, our favorite war hawk in the United States, says it's time to designate Russia as a state sponsor of terrorism. Let's make them pay for killing Navalny. It's not even a U.S. citizen. He's a Russian citizen. We're going to make them pay for killing Navalny. Like I said, no one in America knew who he was. No one cared. He was a Russian, opposing to Putin. Okay, that's great and all, but now we got to go to war because this happened. We got to fund, $95 billion because of this. Well, that's what they want you to believe. And that further puts pressure going on into here. So we see here that the Biden administration is leaning towards supplying Ukraine with longer range missiles. We'll talk about the ATACMS. Back in September 11th, I did a video about the U.S. sending ATACMS to Ukraine. I'll post that in the link below also, maybe up here so you can see it. But, they started sending them there. Now they're saying, well, those are just the mid-range version. They go 190 miles, but supposedly they didn't send those. They sent shorter range ones. Well, the United States only has like 400 or 500 of these because it's an old system. And Biden says, oh, we're leaning towards shipping them the longer range version. They probably already have them. I think this is to ploy to, once again, get the money approved. It says here, last year the U.S. began to supply Ukraine with the Army Tactical Missile System, or the ATACMS, but so far it's only provided the older medium-range ATACMS. Now it is leaning towards sending the longer-range version of the missile. It's all an old system. And they're saying, well, we really can't do this till you approve the money to restock our supplies. Well, they have that replacement already. It's called the Precision Strike missile. It's already fully funded, already being produced. It's the replacement for the ATACMS. They're not even going to build ATACMS. That thing about we need the money to, resupply our stocks, it's all a ruse. They're just saying that to get the money out there, to get the American public to believe that. This program here replaces ATACMS, fully funded, already going ahead. Don't need additional money for it, but they're going to say what they're going to say. Now, this leads into the final point we have here, and that's Dmitry Medvedev, our favorite, deputy chair of the Russian Security Council, who loves to threaten nuclear war. He came out with a post, I believe it was on Friday. It might have been Saturday. I know this is in Russian here, so as you can see it there, we translate it here with Google Translate into something we can read. He's basically saying, all this is going on, the U.S. threatening because of Navalny and missiles. He's going to basically come out and saying, nuclear power has never lost a war. And he says, I'm not talking about the United States losing in Afghanistan or Vietnam or even Russia losing in Afghanistan. He's talking about a nuclear power, he goes on to explain. You can go ahead and pause it and read this if you want in English on the right side as we go throughout here. But he's basically saying a nuclear power has never lost a war when it's threatened the motherland or the fatherland or whatever you want to call it, threaten the homeland. They've never, no nuclear power has lost a war like that. And he's saying, Russia's not going to either. He goes on to say, okay, let's imagine for a moment that Russia has lost and Ukraine and the Allies won. He said, well, that's been said that they want to go back to the borders of 1991. It says right here, the borders of 1991. And what that is before Crimea was even part, was now considered Russia. It's when Ukraine held Crimea, all the Donbass and Luhansk and all those, held all those regions. That's what Ukraine says, that's what they want. That's what NATO says. So he's saying, okay, so if Russia loses, that's what it's going to go back to, those borders. And then he says, and now the main question is, do you think, this is his words, quote, do you think these idiots really believe that the people of Russia will swallow such a division of their country? That we all think that this is great what happened. And he says, that'll never happen. That'll be never stood for, because Crimea, is seen as Russian territory, Russian land. They will never give that up. Even the 4 other territories, not going to happen. So he continues on. He goes here. So here it is. It will be completely different. The collapse of Russia will have much more dire consequences than the results of an ordinary, even the most protracted war. Because attempts to return Russia to the borders of 1991, that's when Crimea was part of Ukraine, will lead to one thing. So it's going to lead to one thing, quote, towards a global war with Western countries using the entire strategic arsenal of our state. He means our strategic nuclear weapons. Then he goes on to say, quote, in Kiev, Berlin, London, Washington, to all other beautiful historic places that have long been included in the flight targets of our nuclear triad. So he says, we're just going to love all these countries with nuclear weapons if Russia loses this land. He says, we have the courage to do this. We have the courage to do this if the disappearance of a 1,000-year-old country, our great motherland, is at stake. And the sacrifices will be willing to be made. And he goes on to say, we will win. So that is Dmitry Medvedev basically saying, if there's no chance Russia's losing, we're not going to lose. If you try to push us back, if there's anything you do, we're going to go nuclear. Now, does he say this a lot? He does say it a lot, but that's where we're getting closer and closer to. We're at that point in that war where, Russia's just taken another city. The lines are basically set. And I think this is basically coming out of Russia saying, let us have this, what we have. This is Russian land. Let's negotiate peace and we can move on from here. And if NATO and Ukraine say no, and we're going to fight on further to take that land back, it's going to go nuclear. So that's the state of that going on. No slowing down there. No even sign of peace being in there. Like I said, the United States just last week said, we don't need to negotiate peace. We're going to continue off this $95 billion. Is this one last chance to money launder $95 billion before the dollar crashes, the recession? Is this the last chance to turn that money printer on? Maybe that's what the U.S. is hoping for. I don't know, but it's not going to end well if they use this to try to push Russia out of what they already have. Whether that's right or wrong, not favoring Russia's done or anything. That's just the facts of what it is. Russia's not giving up that land, or it'll go nuclear. If NATO pushes it, that's what's going to happen. That's all the bunker building going on. All the other countries telling their people to get ready for, giant wars and escalation and everything, except the U.S. The U.S. hasn't told their people anything because, well, we don't want to scare the sheep, because all we do is see TikTok videos coming out from Zoomers saying they can't afford their DoorDash burritos and stuff. So that's the state of the United States right now. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Hope you enjoyed the video, got something out of it. And until next time, keep your ear to the ground, head on a swivel.